Yes.
Rick Humphrey,
Here.
Jack Sprogstad.
Here.
Terry is out on Zoom. So you get to her when you get to.
So everyone have a chance. August meeting.
I can't.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Dee. So did everyone have a chance to look over the minutes from the August meeting? If there is no corrections, the minutes will be approved as presented. Okay. Animal control reports. Terry, would you like to give your report? Did she?
Tom, she must have lost connection. I'm gonna bring her back in here in a minute.
Okay. So Lots report, the report from Lots is attached. Greg is at a conference this morning and will not be able to attend. Charlie or Wendy, would you guys be willing to walk us through the Reagan Mass Transit resolution and the MOU? Oh, Wendy's here. That's all we need. Yeah.
And totally unprepared, let me just point out. So the Mass Transit District, obviously, those resolutions and MOU moved forward or moved through last month. We talked about it at a very, very high level. It ended up not moving through with the full board because Ogle County ended up having some questions. So they deferred it or tabled it for a month. So at Charlie's advice, we tabled it here on the Lee County side. So just FYI, it'll be moving forward again at full board this month. There has been a modification to address the Ogle County concerns. There have been a modification to the resolution that's not out there in your resource folder just yet because Charlie needs to approve it. The modification, just to give you an FYI, was relating to the concern on the Ogle County side and perhaps on the Lee County side that this would become a taxing district that would levy real estate taxes. So there's a resolution or a section of the resolution that's being modified to clarify that that is not the intent or the goal of this district. So other than that, I would entertain any questions, but just be looking for those documents to be moving forward at full board.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Is there a motion to move the resolution authorizing the creation of the Reagan Mass Transit District to the Executive Committee for inclusion on the County Board agenda? Marvin, second. Jack, is there any discussion?
I guess the question is, we can look at the document.
So my hope is to get that from Charlie as early as today, and then it'll be get posted out there. If you want, I can email it to you, or we can put it in resource folder so that it's available immediately.
I think you should put it in the resource folder and all the board members actually go through and read it.
Yeah.
That way it's before the
Alternatively, it would normally be attached to the agenda, but you don't get the agenda right away until we go to post that. So you won't have it necessarily available immediately. So we'll do that.
Any other discussion? Okay, do I, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay. Is there a motion to move the memorandum of understanding for the creation of the Reagan Mass Transit District to the Executive Committee for inclusion on the County Board agenda? I hear a motion for that. Jack, second. Dave, is there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, so do we have Terry back?
Terry, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay, let's go back to Terry. Terry, would you like to give your report and walk the committee through the revised fees and fines schedule on the agenda?
Yeah, I guess, let's see. So I redid the to kind of coincide with the ordinances. I kind of liked that idea so that we knew exactly, or even the people knew exactly where to go for the ordinance. So it's just the normal 1 year, 3 year registration, the impound fees, the miscellaneous services, which is like the microchip and the owner surrender. And then the adoption fees, you know, what it includes, what it doesn't include. We did do it a little bit different this time. I did instead of just one amount, we did 50 pounds and less or 50 pounds or more for adoptions. And And then the breeding permit and the dangerous dog sign fee are the two newer ones that were that went through the new ordinances.
Okay, Dave?
Okay, yeah, I was reading it, 50 pounds or less. It says here, if both are less. No
Oh,
more.
yes, I gotta change that, yes.
Okay.
I see that now.
And these adoption fees, are these basically our costs for the neutering, rabies and distemper shots and stuff, or is this
Yeah,
a?
so in the past, it has never been changed, and I've always had kind of the $130 that we used to charge was in the negative by the end of the time the dog left. So these costs are what one of the clinics are charging us, or not these costs. I'm sorry, the cost that the clinic is charging us is a little bit less than each one of these costs. So we are sort of on the uphill with that, instead of in the negative.
Okay, the question would be, we're trying to get these adopted out. We're not trying to be a
Right. Right.
But this would be the cost if they would get an animal anywhere, that a lot of these fees and stuff that would be in that, and that would be the amount to walk out anywhere.
Right. In fact, they're a little bit low with some of the other counties. So I think we're kind of in a good area there.
And I seen one up farther, how about boarding feeding. Is that just for animals that have been taken into custody, or are we doing a boarding process?
Yes, so the boarding is included in your impound fee, the impound fees. So instead of $12 a day, it's 15. And then if we have to hold a dog that is bitten, it's $20.
So Terry, just to clarify, you're not taking in and boarding just regular, everyday, ordinary animals, only if they're being impounded for some reason through animal control, correct?
Yes, I do have, there have been circumstances, if you guys remember, there was a fire in Compton that she had 8 dogs and we had boarded them for her because she had nowhere to go, of course, because her house burnt. We do have 2 dogs now that kind of the same situation. So we did take those 2 dogs in. They'll be here for a little bit while the house is being redone. So I will on certain circumstances, but not in general, no.
Thank you, Terry.
I think, Terry, just a question. It seems like everybody I hear, I don't have an animal, but boarding fees for most people are substantially higher than that, or?
When we did this, I went through a couple of the clinics and, we asked like what their boarding fees are. So I kind of went by those. So that's kind of a mid-range there, the 15.
Okay, I've heard horror stories of people want to get their dogs in, and I could get motel room cheaper than some of these dogs that they had to go.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Terry?
Okay, so is there a motion to move the animal control reserve revised fee and fines schedule to the executive committee for inclusion on the county board agenda?
I move forward. We got to change the 50 pounds and less than 50 pounds and more for both male and female dogs on it.
Correct.
That's the only alteration I see to it at this time.
So Terry, I'll get that corrected before we post it on the full board agenda, okay?
Okay,
I got Dave in the first and Jack in the second.
thank you.
Any
Oh,
any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, approved. So Courtney, did you have anything as far as, did you have anything for the properties committee today? I see you're on there. Do you have anything to discuss?
I do not. Thank you.
How about Emily? Emily, do you have anything to discuss with the committee?
Hello, no, I do not. I'm just listening in today. Thank you.
And Anthony, do you have anything to discuss with the properties committee?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. We've done the lots. We're moving on to Greg. Greg, would you like to give a report?
I don't have a whole lot. It's just the asbestos abatement's been completed in the old LEC. We got several projects going on at the same time. So we're quite busy. Other than that, that's about all I have right now.
Anybody have any questions for Greg? Chris? Are you good? Okay, so Dee, would you like to walk the committee through your report or are you good to go?
I'll just give a summary. if
Okay,
it's
go ahead.
Thank you. The zoning board of appeals had 3 agenda items this month, petition 22, 1593 and 1594 for revocation of special use that was continued to the October 3rd zoning meeting. Zoning board is conducting a hearing for petition 22, 1595. This petition for special use will be voted on at the September County Board meeting. Petition 22, 1596 for an appeal was withdrawn by the petitioner after reaching agreement with the zoning administrator. The zoning board will be hearing 3 community solar petitions in October. Due to time constraints, the zoning board is scheduled to have 10 meetings throughout the first week of October on these petitions. Petitions 22, 1597, One Energy Solar is intending to develop a 4 megawatt community solar project southwest of Franklin Grove. And petitions 22P 1598 and 99 are a co-located community solar project that proposes to construct 2 megawatt ground mounted solar arrays north of the tollway, just off of Red Brick Road in South Dixon Township. The Renewable Energy Committee met on September 7th. And after reviewing both the wind and solar ordinances, motion to send both text amendment drafts to the county board to set a public hearing at the Planning Commission meeting on October 3rd. There's 3 members on the Lee County Planning Commission whose terms are expiring this month, and all will be seeking reappointment to the Planning Commission. And the zoning office has been reviewing the zoning ordinances for possible text amendments to the code. One being the allowance of chickens to be raised in the R2 single family residential districts. We've looked at several other jurisdictions and have included chickens to be raised in residential areas. And so we're working on developing a draft ordinance to that.
Does anybody have any questions for Dee? Chris?
Yes, I heard that you came to a resolution on one of the petitions. What was the final resolution or which one was that entailed to? That you guys were able to come to a resolution on?
Are you talking about the appeal?
Yes.
What was the resolution?
Which, can you give some detail on?
Oh, sure. There was a complaint lodged against a citizen who had 2 trailers on their property. Our code only allows 1. Or sorry, campers, not trailers. And so it was agreed that she would remove one of her campers.
Anybody have any other questions for Dee? Okay, so we'll get these action. We're gonna skip to C. Going to the zoning board of appeals, the petition 22-P 1597 special use for community solar project. Is there a motion to move petition 22-P 1597 to the executive committee for inclusion on the county board agenda? So moved. Dave, second. Bill? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Is there a motion to move petition 22P 1598 to the executive committee for inclusion on the county board? Dave, do I have a second? Mr. Palin, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Coming from the zoning board of appeals, petition 22P 1595, special use for a community solar project, Dixon Township. Is
99.
1595. Oh, I'm sorry, 1599, special use for community solar project. I was gonna do the other one first, but if that's the way you want it, Dave, we'll do it.
So moved.
So,
So picky.
is there a motion to move petition 22P 1599 to the executive committee for inclusion on the county board?
So moved.
Dave, I have a second. Jack Skrockstead, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Now, coming from the zoning board of appeals, petition 22P 1595, special use for community solar project Dixon Township. Is there a motion to move petition 22P 1595 to the executive committee for conclusion on the county board agenda?
So moved.
Dave, second. Jack, any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we're gonna keep going down. Dee gave her planning commission report, so going to the planning commission. Petition 22-PC 68, text amendment for wind energy systems. The draft ordinance is attached for your review. Is there a motion to move petition 22-PC 68 to the executive committee for inclusion on the county board agenda?
So moved.
Dave, second by Mr. Palin. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Draft winner or petition 22-PC 69, text amendment for solar energy system. The draft ordinance is attached for your review. Is there a motion to move petition 22-PC 68 to the executive committee for inclusion on the county board agenda?
69.
69, what I say?
Okay.
That's
So
what he-
moved.
That's what he
69.
said. I'm
That's
sure
what
of
I
it.
said. You sure, Dave? You got me covered? You want me to read it again? Should I read it again? No. Do I have a motion for that?
Yeah, so moved.
Mr. Lally, second. Jack?
I'll do it.
Any discussion?
I don't. What are we looking at here? It's just a text of me.
The draft wind energy systems ordinance petition 22-PC 60, or I'm sorry, 22-PC 69, text amendment for solar energy systems.
What are we amending?
The next document down, Rick, is the actual ordinance. Draft ordinance.
And the ordinance already through
Mhm.
once, but now we put an amendment to it.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. So now we can go back to B. Jack.
I really don't have anything new to report other than, we met the other day about 2 weeks ago, and we have the demo coming in for a zoning application to, that's kind of an addition to what oh gosh. help me out.
Tax administration software. We currently have DevNet in the building for the clerk treasurer and the assessor. And there is a module that would complement that for zoning that would handle zoning petitions, building permits, and et cetera.
Yeah, I lost my words. All those words she said, I shot all of them. But anyways, we have a demo for that module coming up 29. So we'll be looking at that. And I'm kind of excited about what that's all entailed. That's really all I have right now.
Does anybody have any questions for Jack? Work in progress, and I think it's gonna take a little time to really get things organized great, but I appreciate you helping out doing that, Jack. Okay, so now we're down to renewable energy. Alice, would you like to walk the committee through your report?
So the Renewable Energy Committee recently met and voted to send both the draft solar ordinance and draft wind ordinance on to complete its finalization. So you guys have voted to send it to planning today. Planning will hold a public hearing on it, send that back to the county board, who would be expected to
vote to hold it over for a month.
Go ahead.
So did we send those to planning or did we send them to executive?
Sorry,
That's okay. I just
I
want to
don't
make
know
sure
the
we didn't send it
process,
wrong.
sorry. Additionally, we will be looking to start start the consideration of a battery energy storage system ordinance here in the near future.
Very good. Does anybody have any questions for Alice? Thank you. Other business, old business. So an update on the old LEC is we are not getting a grant for what we've been waiting on forever. The architect is finishing the drawings for the demolition. Greg, we had a meeting at the city and there's an old fiber line that went right through from 911 through our building and then over into the police department. It's a 22-year-old line. So we asked them to do one of two things. First thing we asked them to do is to come in and protect it. We weren't asking them to spend money to eliminate it. We just wanted it protected because our maintenance department would be in that basement and we don't want anything to do with the fiber going from 911 over to the city for the city of Dixon. And then in the discussion with the city, the line's 22 years old, I believe it was. Wendy, does that sound right?
At least.
So we expressed to them that we're not kicking them out of the building. We just wanted them to protect it. It would have been $5,000 or $6,000 to go in there and put a conduit around it where we couldn't damage it. And during the construction process and when the guys are in there, the maintenance department moves into the basement of that. But the city opted out to actually relocate the line. So they're going to eliminate the fiber that's in the basement of the old LEC, which really gives us free reign to do a lot. It gives us a little bit more leeway to move things around and not have to worry about that stuff and have liability there. The old LEC, the abatement's been done. So there's Greg's guys have been hit and miss on getting the rest of it demoed. It is, if you went over there and saw it, you wouldn't recognize it. A lot of stuff is gone, but we now have the ability to go in there and get rid of everything because the lead's done and the asbestos is done. When the drawings get done from the architect, he'll be back from Germany in 10 days. When he gets back, we will then put together a bid document for the judges parking upstairs, the sally ports, and whatever demolitions left. At that point, we'll make a determination of, we're gonna have a starting and stopping point for our guys, because once we put it out for bid, whatever's left to demo would be in a demolition bid. But everything is abated. So we've basically got a opened basement that's where our maintenance department's gonna be. You gotta remember too, they also at one time wanted a $350,000 building for the maintenance. And now we've got a building basically right on site that is going to be utilized, and we're reusing what the county currently has. So that's a positive. Over at the new courts building, there's going to be a lot of as soon as we have people fill out work order forms, there's going to be requests coming in for flooring. They want to add a courtroom over in the new courts building, where the old courts building used to be, where all the glass is at in the front on the second floor. They want to add a courtroom in there for a grand jury. Is that correct, Charlie? Because right now the judges have to currently give up their courtrooms for this grand jury thing. And then once January 1st hits, there's going to be a lot more need for courtroom space. And it's not a big job, but again, it's going to be going through the work order forms, which all you guys will see. Judge Ackert is going to fill out a work order form for that project. We've got some flooring over there that's dangerous. It's been delaminating, and we've got waves in the floor that are trip hazards. So we're doing the work order forms now. So the properties committee will, once the work order forms come through, Greg will put numbers to it, bring it to our committee. We will then vote on passing it through, or however we want to proceed in doing the work that people are asking for. So it's going to give the properties committee a little bit more say in what we're doing. We're putting together for the executive committee right now all the HVAC stuff is, right now, the scope letters have been written for the HVAC work over in the other building. We've got the other elevator projects started. We're putting numbers on roofing, tuck pointing, cleaning and tuck pointing the existing courts building, the new courts building. It needs it. There's a lot of stuff going on where we're putting dollar figures to things, so we know in a preventative maintenance situation what we're going to be spending, and hopefully timeframes of when that money can be spent. I know ARPA funds have got to be distributed by what, the 25th or the 2025?
Allocated by 2024 and spent by 2026.
Okay, so I mean, and that's the kind of stuff that we're trying to put into allocation for the ARPA committee to consider some of these larger projects. Trying to keep it in the 5 fundamental areas that the ARPA fund was originally intended for. And one of them was for broadband, and we sent something through on broadband on that. One of the second things of the 5 was air conditioning and quality of air. We're going to meet that criteria too. So we're hitting 2 out of the 5. I don't know what the other 3 are, but it's good that we're actually doing these projects through the ARPA committee the way the government intended us to do it. So a lot of stuff coming down the pike. Does anybody have any questions on any of this? What do you want? Yes, Wendy, what can
You
you?
just will not pay attention to me, will you? Speaking of ARPA, so I did lay, and Marvin, I think I missed you just because I got distracted with computer issues, but I did lay on your desk. For those of you who have not been involved with the ARPA committee or were not at the meeting yesterday, I wanted to give you a heads up that at full board meeting, ARPA committee made a recommendation to support a broadband grant to provide what they're referring to as middle mile broadband fiber throughout the county. The map that's in front of you in red is where they're proposing to run the middle mile. The other document is the estimate of the project grant costs, and of the project grant costs, and to the tune of about $49,000. Lee County's match for this grant, if the grant were to be approved by the federal government, would be about almost $1.7 million. ARPA committee did make a recommendation to expend ARPA dollars towards that match. I am doing some follow-up though, and we'll be reporting to finance to Thursday morning regarding our criteria of expending the money prior to, or allocating it prior to 2024 and expending prior to 2026. We want to make sure that we meet that criteria. So I'm going to get back to the finance committee with a little bit more information on that, Tom. I did follow up after the ARPA committee meeting. So I'm still working on that, but I wanted this information out to you for your consideration. If you have any questions, it's a huge project. There's a lot going on with it, but I'd be happy to address any questions that you may have before this gets to you at the full board meeting. So please feel free to reach out to me. That's all I have, Tom.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on any of the stuff in the old business? Or no? Okay, so we're on the new business. There's nothing under new business.
Except Wendy has one thing, sorry. No action needed, but I'm also going to point out that moving forward this month is the board rules and procedures that will actually go into effect after December 1, but we need to put these rules and procedures in place prior to that. In part, this takes you from 24 board members down to 20. But also a critical part of the board rule changes are going to be the fact that we're going to be transitioning over to electronic voting using your tablets. So these rules won't take effect until December 1, but if I can get these monitors fully up and running so that we can show the public and you all the votes, I am hoping over the next couple of months that we can actually start practicing with our tablets doing that voting. In the meantime, though, I really was winging it when I put together what I thought you would want for guidelines for how to do electronic voting. So I would appreciate it if you all take a look at that, make sure that I've met the mark as far as what your expectation would be. I did yesterday receive some input from Charlie that has not yet been incorporated into the administration committee document that went forward yesterday, but I will be doing that before we get to the full board meeting. In the meantime, if you have any input, I would love to have that at the same time so I could include or incorporate or at least consider that prior to the full board meeting. So please take a look. I promise, Tom, that is it for me today.
Are you, is that it? Is that good? We're good to
Yep, I
go?
promise.
Okay. So anything under new business besides what Wendy just discussed? Anybody have anything? Okay, there's no executive session, no request for executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Bill, seconded by Marvin. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, thanks, fellas.